Hi, my name is Jake, and I am a bookish drummer. So for this video, I want to discuss books that I want to reread in 2024. So this year in 2023, when I'm filming this video, I don't know when it'll come out, but one of my goals for 2023 was to do less rereads and to try to focus on reading books that I already own, because I think the year previous I had done in 2022, I had just done so much rereading that I wasn't getting to a lot of books that I actually wanted to read and try new stuff, right? And in 2023, like I said, one of my goals was less rereading, which I did accomplish. I read a lot of new to me books, tried a lot of new stuff, but I think that itch will be coming in 2024 because there's already a couple of fantasy series, which I'll talk about later in the video, that I 100% know I will be rereading. And then there's a couple of books for other books that I'm going to be reading that I know I will also be rereading. So I think 2024 is going to be another, I don't want to say another giant reread year like 2022 was, because I do want to try to get to, more new to me books as well. But I do plan on rereading a lot. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So these first three books and or series, I will 100% be rereading because they are involved in the Bookish Drummer Discord in some fashion. I almost just dropped my book. Let's go ahead and talk about the first one, which will be Age of Myth, or Legends of the First Empire series by Michael J. Sullivan. If you don't know yet, we are going to be doing a read-along for this series starting in June, and it will end in November. It's a six-book fantasy series, of course, starting with Age of Myth, and then Age of Swords, Age of War, Age of Legend, Age of Death, Age of Empire. And yeah, this is one of my all-time favorite fantasy series. It will, of course, be a reread for me, and I'm definitely interested to see what a lot of people think. I know a lot of people are going to be joining us that have never read this series, or maybe have never even read Michael J. Sullivan before, so that'll be a lot of fun. Another book that I 100% know I will be rereading, because it's a part of the Stephen King Short Story Book Club, is Bizarre Bad Dreams, which we will be starting on January 8th. And this will work its way up until May, because if you don't know, for the Stephen King Short Story Book Club, we do about 1 or 2 short stories a week. And I think there's about 22, maybe 23, 24 stories in here. So it'll start in January and end in May. And then obviously for each short story, we can have like a little discussion about what we all thought about them. And then usually at the end, I'll ask everybody to give their favorites and least favorites, and it'll all conclude with my ranking video of me ranking all of the stories in here. And this all kind of culminates into the preparation for Stephen King's newest short story collection, You Like It Dark. Is it called You Like It Dark or Darker? I don't remember, but this one's coming out in May. So like right after we finish this, like a couple of weeks after, will be his brand new short story collection, which I'm thrilled about. We will not be doing it week by week. I will be reading that sucker on day one. So be prepared for that. But yeah, I will 100% be rereading this with hopefully a lot of y'all. Another book that I'm 100% sure I will be rereading, because it is the October pick for Thrill, Chill, or Kill, and that would be Extreme Makeover by Dan Wells, which is a vastly underrated horror thriller book. It's excellent. It's kind of a horror satire in many ways, because this is about the apocalypse that's brought upon by cosmetic products. How does that make sense? Well, you'll have to buddy read with us for Thrill, Chill, or Kill and find out. This book is bonkers, it's crazy, it's funny, it's creepy, it's everything wrapped into a nice little bow. And if you don't know, Dan Wells is most famous for I Am Not a Serial Killer, the John Cleaver series, which is one of my all-time favorites. And this is one of his standalone novels. It's really good. I love this cover too. But yeah, it's excellent, and this is the book that we decided to pick for October for for Thrill, Chill, or Kill. So if you're not a part of the Discord and you're interested in checking out this, among many other books that we're going to be doing once a month for the entire year of 2024, go check out the Book Astronomer Discord. This next book I want to reread because there's potentially a sequel coming out in 2024, which I'm thrilled about and would be ecstatic if it actually came out. I'll have to double check. I'm like 90% sure it's actually happening, but that would be the sequel to Baby Teeth by Zoe Stage, one of my all-time favorite horror books. And for a while, I thought this was basically just going to be a standalone. It kind of ends like with the potential maybe for a sequel. And what do you know? She plans on writing one, I think. I don't. If I have like a cover or a title for it, I will post it here. I don't remember, but yeah, this is, like I said, this is one of my all-time favorite horror books by one of my all-time favorite authors, Zoe Stage. And to get a sequel, I would love to be able to reread this like right before it comes out and then jump into the sequel. And I know I'm gonna love it a lot. So yeah, Baby Teeth and then the sequel. This next fantasy series I have to talk about, I'm like 95% sure I'm going to reread, although it's a very big commitment. The reason I would reread them is because book 5 comes out in December, and you guys probably know what I'm talking about. It's Stormlight Archive by Brando Sando, of course, starting with The Way of Kings. And I, of course, would love to reread it. The problem is I'd have to read 4 chunky ass fantasy books, well over 1,000 pages each. So that's like, 4 to 5,000 pages of just rereading from this alone on top of all the other stuff I want to reread. So I don't know, like maybe I'll just do like a summary video or something and then just jump into book 5, but probably I'm just going to reread them just cuz they're so much fun, and this is my second favorite fantasy series of all time. So I love rereading these books. The time commitment will be a lot, but it'll probably be worth it. And then I have a couple of other fantasy series that are definitely not set in stone for me to reread. I would love to be able to. We'll see. Like with all these, like those other ones, I'm like 95% sure I'm going to reread all of those. And these extra ones, if I could, that'd be great. But like I said, I do have a lot of books I want to get to. But I would love to be able to reread the Witcher series. Again, one of my all-time favorites. I have not read these in a while. I read these, oh God, I don't know, like 4 years ago at this point. I've forgotten a lot of these. Like the short stories are kind of the most memorable because they're kind of standalone-ish. And then the main series, I remember bits and pieces, but they kind of like flow into each other. That each book doesn't really have its like crystal clear identity. So I'd love to be able to reread them and fall back in love with Witcher, and also just see if it still retains the epicness that I come to love with this series. Like, is it still a top 10 fantasy series for me? I'd love to be able to reread it and find out if I have time. And then another one that I'm not really confident about, like I would love to be able to reread them just because like I've had a weird history with this series. I'll just mention it. It's Harry Potter. I loved these books growing up. I read the first 4 books as a kid, like when they were like coming out. Well, not when they were coming out, but like like when I was a kid, I was reading Harry Potter. But by the time the 5th book came out, I had kind of fallen off the bandwagon. Like I was way more into music and I was way more into horror, like watching horror movies and watching like Family Guy. So like Harry Potter, like I was just like, I don't care anymore, whatever. And then I started to read them in college as an adult. I read book 5, hated it. And then I read book 6, loved it. And then read book 7, kind of meh with a good ending. And then I think I might have reread book 1 or 2. I don't remember, but I'd love to be able to just like reread all of them like as a 30-year-old. It's crazy that I'm 30 now. Like just reread them and just see if they still stand up. Like, am I still gonna love them, as an old man? uh, it, I really don't know if I had time for this because that's another 7 books on top of all this other stuff I want to reread. So it's definitely not a priority, but I would love to be able to reread it. And this next book, along with a couple of other books, are usually books that I try to reread every year. Like I try to make them kind of a tradition to read them around my birthday because they are some of my favorite books. This year in 2023, I did not get to it. I did in 2022, but not in 2023. So maybe I'll correct that wrong. I'm, of course, talking about Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie by Jordan Sonnenblick, along with some of his other books. Notes from the Midnight Driver, which is kind of a companion. Like the main character from this book has a minor role in this book. And then the sequel to Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie, After, Ever After is what I meant to say. I'd love to be able to reread these. These are a much less time commitment because they're all 200-page middle grade books, so I'd be able to knock them out very quickly. And just the fact that I usually try to reread at least Drums, Girls, Dangerous Pie, and I didn't even get to it in 2023, I should probably rectify that wrong, so I'll probably get to those. We'll see. And then just looking at my shelves, I'd love to be able to get to even like something like Imaginary Friend, which is one of my favorite horror books of all time, but I've only read it once. I'd love to be able to reread it, but it's chunky, so I don't know if I'd be able to get to it. George R.R. Martin, my all-time favorite author, I'd love to be able to reread some of his stuff. Yeah, I don't know. And hopefully I don't go too overboard with rereading like I did in 2022 where I swear 40% or 45% of my reads were all rereads. I think a lot of that though was Stephen King because I was reading a lot of Stephen King for the channel. All right, so those are all of the books that I could potentially reread in the year 2024. All of the ones from the beginning, like Legends of the First Empire, Extreme Makeover, what was the other one? A Bazaar of Bad Dreams. Those are 100% going to be reread because they're Bookish Drummer Discord read-alongs and buddy reads and all that crap. And then Baby Teeth for the sequel. I'm pretty sure it's coming out in 2024. Love to be able to get to that. Stormlight, I will inevitably reread, even though that'll take up so much time. And then the other ones, Witcher and Harry Potter, love to be able to get to. If I don't get to it, it's not the end of the world. I could wait till next year, potentially. Save me a lot of time. And then Drums, Girls, Dangerous Pie, and a few other Jordan Sonnenblick books. Love to be able to reread them. But, like I've said, I have tons of books that I should probably be reading for the first time. And so I can try to unhaul some books or, just try to make more room to have room on my bookshelves. But if I do a lot of rereading, I don't know. We'll see. What do you guys think about rereading? Do you tend to reread a lot or do you not reread a lot? I know Stacy, my fiance, who's been in a lot of my videos, she usually does not like to reread. She'll sometimes reread stuff if it's like a new book coming out in a series, but like a thriller or a random horror book, she's not going to reread that. I like to. If I have a new favorite, I like to revisit it every now and then, just to try to get that same feeling that I did the first time I read it and just, especially because I love characters and just getting back into the minds of some of these characters is always invigorating. So that's why I like to reread, but I'm interested to see if you guys like to reread. Are there any books that you plan on rereading in 2024? Are any of them books that I've mentioned here? If so, that would be a lot of fun. Love to buddy read with y'all. Comment all of those lovely comments down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And of course, join the Book of Stormer Discord where, like I've mentioned previously, we've got the Thrill Chiller Kill Book Club, Stephen King Short Story Book Club, and we're going to be reading Lightbringer starting in January, and then Legends of the First Empire starting in June. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a fantastic doodly butt day.